Hello, thank you for joining us again on the CoreTV News Hour. I am Frank Malapian here. Some of the stories are breaking right now. The Senate wants the central bank and other commercial banks to carry out awareness campaigns on the importance of the biometric verification number in rural areas. Senators took this position after deliberations on a motion by Deputy Minority Whip Senator Biodun Lujimi on the dangers posed to rural dwellers by the exercise. They expressed concern that people at the grassroots have not been carried along in the campaign they said had been focused on the elites and people living in urban area. I'll bring you more details in this report. Away from there now, Muhammadu Buhari on Monday, the president in Abuja called for an explanation from the Ministry of Finance on the foreign loans obtained for real projects but diverted to other purposes. Speaking at the end of a presentation on the Ministry of Transport by the Permanent Secretary Alhaji Mohammed Basha at the presidential villa, Buhari said that it was disappointing to find that foreign loans obtained in line with signed agreements were moved from one project to another. President Buhari was reacting to the specific instance of the diversion of a substantial part of the loan of 1.005 billion US dollars from the Chinese Exim Bank obtained for the construction of a standard gauge rail line linking Lagos to Kano, but which was moved elsewhere. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari is demanding an explanation on how a portion of the 1 billion US dollars loan obtained for the railway projects were diverted for other usage. This was after the permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Transport, Mohammed Basha, briefed him on ongoing projects in the ministry. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu quoted the president in a statement as expressing disappointment that loans obtained in line with signed agreements were diverted to other uses by the finance ministry. Speaking to journalists after the briefing, the permanent secretary gave a progress report on some of the rail projects.
The rehabilitation program of the old gauge lines. As you are well aware, we have completed the Lagos-Kano and it's operational. Twice a week, people move from Lagos to Kano and back to Lagos. We have also recently commenced the operations from Kano to Port Harcourt and Port Harcourt to Gombe. There, as you are aware of the situation from Gombe upwards, we have some challenges there. With regards to Abuja, Kaduna in particular, the track has been completely laid. We are now waiting for the locomotives to arrive, which have been ordered and paid for. Our belief is that we will meet the deadline of December 2015.
And now President Muhammadu Buhari has constituted a Presidential Advisory Committee against Corruption headed by Professor Ishe Sege, a prominent professor of law and civil rights activist. The committee, according to the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, is to advise the President on the prosecution of the war against corruption and the implementation of required reforms in Nigeria's criminal justice system. Other members of the committee are Professor Femi Odekunle, Professor Etonibi Alemika, Dr. Benedict Dauda, Professor Sadiq Rada, Hadiza Bala Usman, Professor Bolaji Owosanaye, who is the Executive Secretary of the committee. And our former President Olusegun Obasanjo reaffirms his position as a partyless Nigerian, says he will continue to be a statesman. He said this at his hilltop house in Abeokuta when a delegation from Kogi State led by the State Governor Captain Idris Wada paid him a courtesy visit. A former president, who was the former chairman, Board of Trustees, the People's Democratic Party, said despite not playing active partisan politics anymore, he will continue to work with any Nigerian with good intention and leadership traits to develop the country. He noted that the personality and performance would normally rank above the party platform. Obasanjo also commended Wada for engendering peace in Kogi State. Away from politics now, the National Population Commission says Nigeria's issue with population figures will be eliminated if biometric counting is used for the next census. Chairman of the Commission, Eze Duru Ihoma, stated this while speaking with State House correspondent in Abuja. He also attributed the inability of the Commission to have accurate records of birth to inadequate resources and insufficient manpower.
We're prepared, and we think we can do more if the resources available to us are improved upon. So we're prepared. It would be wrong to expect Mr. President to react immediately. We made a presentation, which he didn't have preview of. He didn't have foreknowledge of what we were going to say. So it would be wrong to expect him to have reacted, almost immediately to what we said. So we expect Mr. President to chew over what we have said and come up with a response.
Over to health matters now. Nigeria is closer to being declared polio-free by the World Health Organization in 2017. This is on the condition that it does not record any more cases of the disease in the next 1 year. WHO representatives who said it at a review committee meeting in Abuja wants the Nigerian authorities to step up routine immunization, especially in the northeast. The National Veterinary Research Institute says that new cases of bird flu have been discovered in Abia and Enugu states. Executive Director of the Institute, Mohammed Ahmed, told CoreTV News in Jos that it was the first time the flu was found in the two eastern states. The last cases were stamped out in May after destroying more than 1.4 million birds affected only in 18 states. Now the two states have come down with the disease and brought the total to 20 states. He said the new cases had been traced to the purchase of birds in Ibadan at the point of lay by some poultry farmers in the two states. While advising farmers to be more proactive, he said the purchase of birds at the point of lay was certainly not the best because farmers would not know how the birds were raised. He therefore advised farmers to always patronize well-established farms that have massive hatcheries and were meticulous on biosecurity. You're watching CoreTV News Hour. I will take a break now. Be back shortly with more stories. Stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to her husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, another election is coming.
Because some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
This is CoreTV News live from our Lagos studios. All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space. Then news. And now President Muhammad Buhari is set to order an investigation into contracts involving the procurement of weapons for the military under the Goodluck Jonathan administration. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen. Shehu spoke a few days after the immediate past chief of defense staff, Alex Bade, said he led a military that was ill-equipped. A former national security advisor, Colonel Sambo Desoki, has also said while some weapons and equipment procured by the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan were used to fight insurgency during the later days of his tenure, some others were still being awaited. The presidential spokesman said Buhari was interested in taking stock of every naira that left the national treasury and for what purpose. He said Nigerians were aware that books were already being checked and the exercise was not limited to the oil sector. And now the National Assembly Petitions Tribunal sitting in Jos had dismissed cases challenging the elections of Senator Jeremiah Hussaini and a member of the House of Representatives, Solomon Marin. Hussaini representing Plateau South, while Marin representing Boko Mango Federal Constituency in Plateau State. A former Senator, Brigadier General John Chagaya, had prayed the tribunal to nullify Hussaini's election, alleging irregularities, rigging and massive inflation of figures. But the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Akeredolu, who ruled on the matter, dismissed Shagaya's application for lack of merit. She ruled that there was structural imbalance in the body of the case that deprive it of all properties that make a good case. Similarly, the tribunal in the case involving Marin had heard that the statement of the witnesses in the petition was not properly filed. And now the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON, a body that comprises the elected chairman and other elected members of the local councils across the country, have accused the Nigeria Police Force of bias in the handling of the dissolution of elected local government council executive in the state, Plateau State. A correspondent who has been monitoring situation in Plateau State reports.
Dissolution of the local government executive and legislative arms by the Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong is still generating reactions, as the Association of Local Government of Nigeria and the state says the police have shown bias in handling issues surrounding the dissolution. While the governor says he acted within the ambit of the law and espoused as governor, ALGON and the state says it was an act done in total disregard of a subsisting court order with the alleged connivance of the police.
If you meet the police, they will tell you that between the law and the governor, they are there for the law. But in action, the police are worshipping the government. Because here the court has given us the mandate to go back to our office, and they've given the police the order to protect us while in the office, but rather the police, they've prevented us from entering our offices.
ALGON boss Emmanuel Lona says what currently operates in the authority of government is illegal.
I agree with you. Definitely, we are still, by law, we are still a local government chairman, because the laws today in this country recognizes us, not them. They came as a result of illegality being perpetrated by the state government.
Loman, who spoke to newsmen after an emergency meeting of the sacked executives, called for a return to the status quo, especially as it affects obedience to court orders.
Well, as ALGON on the plateau, we have calmed our people to a certain level. And you see, the point here is that one should push somebody to the wall. The expectation there is that he will bounce back. And certainly, we can calm our members again. But we are carrying this team from both sides, both from the legal aspect, doing consultation with opinion leaders, and also calming down our supporters.
While the issue of insecurity still remains a source of concern in the state, it's hoped that this growing disagreement is addressed.
And now the national legislators elected from Osun State have organized a stakeholders summit aimed at leading the state out of its financial crisis. The summit had in attendance civil societies and top government functionaries, even as combined labor kicked against the retrenchment as a way of making the state financially viable. Our correspondent, Rashid, tells us more.
It's no more news that cash crunch has been militating against the needs of state in Nigeria, Osun State inclusive, and in finding ways to make the state rise above its present financial situation. The Legislators Forum organized a stakeholder summit with speakers extolling the state government and proceeds that it is time for sacrifice to cut government expenditure.
It's important for all of us as people to support the government and increase the IGR, and for government also to always let us know what is the state of things in Osun State.
There might be private investors who have enough resources to purchase one of the two polytechnics.
Trouble, however, ensued as organized labor unions kicked against the option of retrenchment of workers, leading to a mad protest and rowdy session at the conference.
The government is surrounded by sacrifice. They believe much in consultants that does not work. The classroom work. The theory does not make a person a good expert in agriculture.
While the conference lasted, a harmonized communique was issued as an action plan for the state government's deliberation, as the governor, Laurent Farebeshola, promises not to rest on his oars.
The administration is committed to their welfare, their well-being, peace and progress. We shall not relent in our efforts to give the best government to the people of the state of Osun.
With two different summits held in Osun State within 2 weeks, Osun citizens are eagerly waiting to see the effect of these summits as it affects their lives positively and make living easier. Rashid, CoreTV News, Osogbo.
And now the Federal High Court in Lagos has slated August 13, 2015 for judgment in a fundamental right enforcement suit filed by a former Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Ali Olanosi, to challenge his impeachment. Olanosi, who was impeached on April 27, 2015, had sued the IG and the chairman of the 7-man investigative panel, which found him guilty of impeachable offenses, Olatunji Adeniyi. Justice Mohammed Idris adjourned for judgment on Monday after taking arguments from the parties in his suit, which was transferred from the Akure division of the Federal High Court to the Lagos division so that it could be urgently heard. Olanosi is contending that the Adeniyi-led panel breached his fundamental right to fair hearing. Olanosi claimed that the impeachment panel did not give him adequate time and facility to defend himself against the allegations of misconduct which he was found guilty of. He therefore sought an order questions the proceedings and the report of the Adeniyi-led 7-man impeachment panel, which recommended him for impeachment. He also sought an order nullifying his removal as the Ondo State Deputy Governor by the State House of Assembly on April 27, 2015. But in a preliminary objection brought before Justice Idris on Monday through Jagede, Adeniyi urged the court to discountenance Olanosi and strike out his suit. Jagede would describe Olanosi's suit as an abuse of court process. He said the ex-deputy governor goofed while approaching the court through a fundamental right enforcement application to challenge his impeachment, pointing out that Olanosi's application was not filed in compliance with Order X Rule 1 of the Fundamental Right Enforcement Procedure of 2009. Jagede said the suit was defective and urged the court to strike it out. The West Africa Examination Council says the result of government-sponsored candidate of indicted state will not be released until there is advance payment guarantees from reputable banks. The head of Nigeria National Office of the Examination Body, Charles Iguridu, reiterated this while announcing the release of the 2015 May June West African Senior School Examination Council. Our correspondent, Abela Aluwale, has details.
According to the head, WAEC National Office, Charles Iguridu, out of 1.5 million candidates who sat for the May-June examination, results of 118,101 candidates are being withheld in connection with various cases of examination malpractice.
The cases are being investigated, and reports of the investigations will be presented to the Nigerian Examinations Committee of the Council in due course for consideration. The committee's decisions will be communicated to the affected candidates through their schools.
Iguridu, who says a total of 758,849 candidates obtained 6 credits and above, insisted that the result of candidates of Delta states will not be released until such states fulfill their financial obligations to the examination body.
After reviewing the situation, the Council has decided that results of government-sponsored candidates of indebted states will be released if such states endeavor to produce advance payment guarantees from reputable banks, so that the council will be assured that the fees will be paid.
It will be recalled that WAEC raised an alarm on the debt issue at a media briefing held on July 27th. The action of the examination body has prompted some states to respond positively.
Other states on their own have paid. I have not even mentioned the names of the states that have paid, except the governor of Ogun State that announced his own. And on those states you have told, made an announcement. I have not even told you the states that have paid, that are not even owing. So the situation is rather fluid as it is now.
The results will be made available on the official website of WAEC 24 hours after the release. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're still watching CoreTV News, our live from our Lagos studios. We'll take another break now. Be back shortly with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Also in Nigeria now, Greece has struck an agreement with creditors on the terms of a third bailout, paving the way for national parliament to vote on the deal before an August 20 payment falls due to the European Central Bank. After almost 2 weeks of intensive talks, the four institutions representing Greece's creditors, the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the European Commission, and the European Stability Mechanism Rescue Fund agreed on measures and prior actions that will unlock some 86 billion euros, equivalent of $94 billion in funds for Greece. The talks successfully wrapped up in the early hours of Tuesday. Finance Minister spokesman Theodoro Mitropoulos said in a text message. Finance Minister Euclid Sakalotus told reporters that just one or two very small details remained in comments broadcast on Sky TV. A draft of the Memorandum of Understanding includes actions the country must pass immediately in terms of fiscal reforms and requirements before the aid can be released. And in sports now, the African Football Governing Body has revealed that the pairing for the CAF Under-23 tournament will take place next month in Dakar. The Confederation of African Football will hold a draw for the second edition of the African Under-23 Championship in Dakar on September 14. The draw will see representatives from 8 African countries which have qualified for the tournament gathered in Senegalese capital know their foes in the group stage. Stade Leopold Sédar Senghor, Dakar, and Stade Caroline Faye Mbo have been penciled down to host games of the competition, which spans from November 28 and December 12, 2015. Nigeria's under-23 team, coached by Samson Siasia, is one of the 8 teams qualified to participate at the competition after a 2-1 aggregate win over Congo-Brazzaville in the final round of qualifiers concluded earlier this month. Well, and that's a wrap on CoreTV News Hour. Thank you for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.